So I'm going to exit out of the EW launch. And what I want to do now is I want to look at my data collector. You're actually seeing the screen of my Allegro. And I'm going to pop open SurfCE here. And what I want to do is I want to verify the version. So equipment about SurfCE, I'm using version 2.4. Like I said earlier, I need to make sure that these two things match. My SurfCE version matches my firmware version. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got the file that was included, which in my case was for the Allegro CX. If you do not have a CX, you have an MX or a Surveyor or another data collector. If you go to www.surfce.com, version 2.0, 2.5, I want to do a software download. I would key in my serial number, and then it'll have the data collectors listed over here to the right, and then the download button to the left. So you would go download the version for the data collector you have. Okay, I always save these just like I did here. That way I can download 10 data collectors with that one version, that one download, so I don't have to keep downloading it. So I typically keep it stored on my computer where I can access it again. We launch the executable, and then the process begins for the SurfCE upgrade. Next, I accept the end-user license agreement. I skip through this. It basically says, hey, you agree to give your firstborn and, your house, your car, everything, blah, blah, blah. Actually, there's a lot of good information in the end-user license agreement. This is what the document on the blog was about, and basically the fines for pirating software. So if I use this software improperly, I can face criminal charges and penalties for this. So end-user license agreements are typically worth scanning through. But I'll accept the terms because I know what's in the Carlson and I know that we're using it properly. Install Carlson SurfCE using the default directory, yes. And then the process begins, and we let it do its install. Just like the firmware upgrade, it takes a little bit of time to do. Probably the biggest thing I found when doing the SurfCE upgrades is at one point it comes up and tells you, you'll see here in just a second on the desktop side that, keep an eye on your remote device, basically, see if it asks you for anything, click Finish. Maybe I'm a little paranoid about it. But I typically don't click the Finish button on the computer until everything is finished on the data collector. I've let it do its thing. I know, like I said, it's probably just paranoid schizophrenia, but it's just something I found a long time ago and I just stick with. The hardest part of doing this upgrade is getting the data collector and the computer to talk. If you've used ActiveSync, you are well aware of what I'm talking about. Because of that pain, and if you've done it with Vista, even better, right? We've gone through multiple computers, and now you can see that it's copying, and I'm not going to click this OK until this is done. We've gone through multiple scenarios here in the office with Vista trying to do upgrades and had nothing but problems. That's why I said we had to go back to an XP computer with ActiveSync to do the connections. I will say for the Allegro products, those USB docks, they're like $120 or $130 or somewhere in that ballpark. They're absolutely worth it. We do know for a fact that whether you get the brown cradle for the CX or the gray cradle for the MX. They work interchangeably. So if you have the brown one and you have an MX, it'll work. If you have the gray one and a CX, they work the same. So the devices are the same. You don't have to buy multiple devices to do it. But I do recommend the USB cradle for the Allegros. They just make it so much easier to do. I found that for $120 or $30 or whatever the price is on them, that they're well worth it. I've enjoyed them. I've used them for probably 6 or 8 years now, off and on for different things. So definitely a good thing to have. The other side of that is Windows Vista. A nightmare. Windows 7, much easier. I've had nothing but good things to say about Windows 7 so far. So if you're on the fence about Windows 7 and don't know whether to do it, man, I'll encourage you to go ahead and make the jump to 7 if you're not sure. So we're almost finished. We're getting a little bit closer here, and CirceE is almost completely updated. This is a program that we have that allows us to see the data collector. We use it for training and different things. But you're seeing my data collector screen live. This is what's happening. It's connecting and doing this thing. And that's interesting. CirceE 2.5 put a second icon on my desktop. I would assume that it will be the bottom one. But if I'm not sure, I can delete them both. On the data collector, I can go to My Computer, C Drive, CircStar, and I can find that CirceE. And this is going to be the latest, so I can tell it to send to desktop as shortcut. And then just like that, we have CirceE. You're currently in demo. I'm fine. I'm running a demo copy. Continue the last job. And I'm going to continue without connecting. And then I'm finished over here. I can OK and finish on CirceE. Everything's good there. Equipment. GPS rover. Altus. Comms, Bluetooth. That should be my receiver, so I'll go ahead and establish a Bluetooth connection. And I'm bonded. Internal radio. Okay. And when we're connected, if I go to About CirceE again, I can check my version. Monitor SkyPod, I should be talking with the instrument. There we go. Now, a couple of things, since we have just a minute or two extra, a couple of things I'll point out on 2.5. If you're using an early 2.0 version, this is going to look different. There are some really nice things that they added to 2.5. Starting here with Monitor SkyPod, you were used to seeing the HRMS and VRMS values. Now we have a horizontal standard deviation and a vertical standard deviation. We also have GPS clock time. My latency right now is showing me 999, which tells me absolutely nothing. But because I'm getting current and continuous GPS clock time, I know that I'm at least communicating from satellites to the GPS receiver. So now I know I've got a radio issue or some other type issue. Okay, my satellite view, satellite info, none of those really changed. My reference tab is still pretty much the same as well. One of the biggest things I found in the new version that's worth pointing out is in the survey function. When I go in and survey, and I tell it to average points, I want to do a number of points. I want 10 readings, but I only want the increment number on valid readings. So instead of taking 10 readings and averaging all 10 of those, it's only going to accept the valid readings. So it may take 30 readings before it gets 10 good ones, but I know that when it tells me that it's averaged those 10, it's done 10 good solid readings. Okay. So those are some things you'll see in the 2.5 version. Like I said, horizontal standard deviation, vertical standard deviation, a little bit different than the HRMS and VRMS when you see it on the screen. But the quality, as I understand from Carlson how they're computing that and displaying that, there should be no difference in the level of quality between the HRMS and VRMS values. And I'm getting no corrections. This is inside of a building, so my values should be rightfully high. Okay. So just like that, we upgraded SurfCE. We upgraded our Altus APS receiver to the